thing I'm going to do with all of Farrah's babies is like I said, I've got to go through and I've got to get 31 tubs all lined up, and I just got to pull them out one by one and sex them. Actually, you know what? I'll show you how I sex them. I think I mentioned this in one of the earlier videos. I have to give the credit to Richard Wilson from Rick's Boas down in Phoenix. He's the one that sold me Clint as a baby, and he sold me Farrah as well. So I always have to thank him, especially this time of the year. He showed me actually how to do this sexing technique. Let's see if I can do this. It's going to be a little difficult because I don't have a way to hold the stupid camera while I do this. You know what I'll do? I'll do this. I'm going to set it here, and I'll try to... Let's see here. Come here. This is, I think, the safest and actually most accurate way to sex, especially a newborn. You know what I'll do? Hang on here. We'll do this. I'll get my big ugly head in there. Okay. What I do is I flip the boa over just as if I was going to pop it, but I'm not going to pop it. What I do is I take my thumb and I start just in front of the vent, and I run it down the vent. Bump. That's a male. What I'm feeling for are the hemipenes. These guys are so young that they don't have a muscle control. So you don't need to pop them. Popping them, if you do it wrong, can damage the hemipenes. And sometimes the males don't always expose the hemipenes. It's not perfect. So Rick taught me this a few years ago, and I have never been wrong yet. So once again, you hold the snake like this. Start your thumb just in front of the vent, and you, with light pressure, of course the snake usually doesn't like it, you just run your thumb down. Bump, and you go over like a little speed bump. So when you go over that speed bump, that's a male. So basically you do that with a really young boa that doesn't have a lot of muscle control. They can't clench up. You're going to be 100% correct on all your sexing. So I usually will do that after 3 or 4 days. And that's the best way to sex a baby boa. Trying to do that to... Whoa! Sorry about that. Earthquake. Trying to do that to a snake that's 6 months to a year old probably won't work. They've got too much muscle down there, and you can't really feel anything. So as a breeder, obviously, I get to see these guys from day one, and that's what I do. I sex them, and I sex them that way, and I think it's safer than probing because you're not sticking anything in there. It's safer than popping because you're not twisting and turning. And as I said, I have never been wrong yet. I've never had anybody come back and say, you sold me a male when I wanted a girl, or vice versa. So, and the ones I've kept, obviously the holdbacks that I've kept over the years have always been right. So, little helpful hint, I believe in the 2009 Reptiles Annual magazine, it's the one that it's got like a lime green cover, has a girl with a I think she's got a carpet python around her neck. There's an article in there that talks about rainbows, and the guy in the rainbow boa article talks about how he sexes babies, and that's how he does it. So you could pick that article up too. But for all those people out there that have baby snakes like this, or purchase them, that is the best way to sex them. It's safest, and I think it's most accurate, because if there's some hemipenes down there, you're going to feel them as you drag your thumb over them. So, all right. Well, anyways, just a quick little update. The babies are doing great. I'm misting them down every day. I'm waiting for them to start to go opaque. Once they shed, then I'm going to offer them their first meal, and usually it's a live pinky mouse, because most of these guys won't do frozen thawed right out of the gate. Some do. Usually it takes about 1 or 2 feedings, and they get the idea, and they go after frozen thawed. So I've never had any problems converting any of my snakes to frozen thawed. The only snakes that get anything live, there are the babies. Everything else gets frozen thawed. Some of the colubrids, like the pine snakes and gophers, I'll do pre-killed. Because I breed my own rats and mice, I know that I'm not giving them anything that's got parasites or anything. But I think frozen thawed is safer overall, especially if you're not producing the rodents yourself. You know that any parasites are going to get, frozen off and they're going to die. But most importantly, your snake is not going to get bit. Who wants to get, who wants to have a $2 rat take a bite out of your expensive snake? Or even if you don't have an expensive snake, it's just, there's no need for it. And I'm just an advocate for frozen thawed feeding. I feed my retics frozen thawed rabbits. She's hiding under there, but Trinity just had a 4-pound frozen thawed rabbit yesterday. And this gentleman here, who needs, I have to put his cage liner back in, he had himself a 1.5 pound frozen thawed rabbit. He's not going to need to eat now for about a month. So I do all frozen thawed. That's what I do. And, I think it's safer that way. So, all right. Well, the next update on Farrah's babies will be a report on how many males and females I have. And after they shed, maybe I'll do some more filming. But right now, there's really not a lot to show. They're not going to change very much until after they shed at least once and maybe twice. And what I'll do is I'll go through, I think I'll probably keep maybe 2 females out of this litter. That's it. Doesn't really matter to me if I pick the best ones or not. I probably won't pick the best ones. I'll just pick a couple of girls and that's fine. So I will try to identify, oh, I forgot I had a tortoise running around. It just scared the hell out of me. Try to identify which ones are the better looking ones, but it'll take a little while. So there's Darla. I totally forgot that I had her walking around because when I first started making the video, she was making noise behind me and it's distracting and annoying. So we'll get her and put her back in her little cage. So, all right. Well, thanks for checking in. And the next big excitement around here is going to come this Sunday, hopefully when Athena gives birth to her very first litter. And I'm going to have the camcorder ready for that one. It may be a little harder for her to hide from me. That is fairly stiff cage liner, and I don't know if she can get under that or not. I'm hoping she just decides to have the babies right there, as opposed to Farrah, who was smart enough to go underneath her liner or her newspaper and hide. So she's doing pretty good now. I'll get a quick look at her. She's had a couple of small meals. I got to bring her along slowly before I start giving her the bigger stuff because her stomach's obviously shrunk. But you can see her. She's going to start to go opaque pretty soon. How's your personality? You okay? Yeah, see, she's back. She's not hissing at me. She's got a nice clean cage. There's no babies in here. There's no smell of babies. Hopefully I tried to clean the living hell out of this cage. So, business as usual. She just needs to put all this weight back on. And this time I will not be breeding her come November. I'm going to give her a year off. So she's not going to be breeding until November of 2010.